for joining us. The outgoing president of the United States called on the Supreme Court to show courage, but he was actually begging it for help overturning the will of the voters by overturning the election that he so clearly lost. Well, late today, he got his answer from the Supreme Court. No. The court rejecting an ill-conceived lawsuit by the state of Texas and stunningly joined by 126 House Republicans to overturn all the votes in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Here's the ruling. State of Texas's motion for leave to file a bill of complaint is denied for lack of standing under Article 3 of the Constitution. Texas has not demonstrated a judicially cognizable interest in the manner in which another state conducts its elections. All other pending motions are dismissed as moot. Now, Justice Alito, with Justice Thomas joining, added this, quote, "In my view, we do not have discretion to deny the filing of a bill of complaint in a case that falls within our original jurisdiction. I would therefore grant the motion to file the bill of complaint, but would not grant other relief, and I express no view on any other issue." And so ends the last major legal challenge to the president's election defeat. A defeat which is, by his own calculation of his victory in 2016, a landslide loss. It came despite a rebuttal from Texas to critiques of the case, which made no more sense than their original filing. And though so much of this played out more as a farce than as fact, or even plausible legal argument, what is so serious is that nearly 2/3 of the Republican House delegation, including 75% of the leadership, signed on to this assault on democracy. A premeditated assault, as the president himself signaled weeks before the election.
I think this will end up in the Supreme Court, and I think it's very important that we have 9 justices. I think it's better if you go before the election, because I think this scam that the Democrats are pulling, it's a scam. The scam will be before the United States Supreme Court.
And it won't. He wanted the court, his court, with his justices to settle this, and it did, just not in his favor. The 3 justices that he named to the court did not dissent from tonight's decision, and whether they saw it or not, their decision came shortly after the president tweeted, quote, "If the Supreme Court shows great wisdom and courage, the American people will win perhaps the most important case in history, and our electoral process will be respected again." Again, no clue what, if anything, the justices made of that and all the rest of his tweets at them, nor what they made of this, other than not wanting to hear more on the subject.
For President Trump to be ahead as far as he was at 3 a.m. in these 4 states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, and for the vote to swing by as much as it did, the probability of that in one state is 1 in 1 quadrillion. That's 1, 15 zeros. To happen in all 4, it's 1, 15 zeros to the 4th power.
Yeah, it's making that up. It doesn't make sense. Minority Republican lawmakers dissented from that kind of nonsense, including Senator John Cornyn of Texas, a former judge who said he did not see the theory of the case, and Senator Mitt Romney, who called it madness. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who was the only one of 4 House leaders not to sign on to the Friends of the Court brief, 126 of her fellow Republicans did. A spokesman for President-elect Biden said the court's decision was no surprise, adding, quote, "Dozens of judges, election officials for both parties, and Trump's own attorney general have dismissed his baseless attempts to deny that he lost the election." A lot to talk about, starting with CNN political correspondent Abby Phillip, also CNN contributor, Nixon White House counsel John Dean. John, does the ruling mean that President Trump's efforts through the courts to overturn the election are completely over?
I would think so. While there are a couple lower court cases, it's not likely they could ever get to up to the Supreme Court again. So I think this is the last of the court cases.
Abby, as we pointed out earlier, Trump said before the election that he thought it would end up in the Supreme Court, that he thought it was important to have 9 justices seated. It was one of the justifications, of course, for rushing the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation through. What happens now?
Well, he doesn't get his wish. I mean, I think that, as John just said, it's pretty much over. And, even if some of these lower court cases may somehow make their way to higher courts, the problem for the president is that he has lost so many states. He's behind by so many electoral votes that no one state is going to reverse what we are seeing here, and what the entire country, frankly, will see on Monday when the Electoral College meets. So this is over. The president doesn't even get to have the Supreme Court weigh in on this because the court knows that this kind of request to basically have the court weigh in, throw out millions of votes, is completely unprecedented and would really throw the country into incredible turmoil, not to mention the fact that there's virtually no legal basis for the claims that were being made in the suit.